Hey kids, it's Englentine here, and I've got something to say about the Secret Wars. Gonna do this one next. Secret Wars number 10. I just wanted to wait for everybody to get their opinion out on this one and one other book, which I love doing the reviews of. That's America number 6, and that's coming up next. But anyway, I wanted to wait mainly because I knew mine would be the controversial opinion. It's freaking awesome. I mean, this book is absolutely wonderful. This is everything I ever wanted the Secret Empire to be. Because I got to admit, I like being right. I really do. I love to debate people because I like to win the debates. There is a certain arrogance in that, and I understand, but when you look at it and you say the only way this is going to end is with you using the cosmic cube to make everything right again, and Nick Spencer goes, oh no, we're not using the cosmic cube, and it's every freaking thing. And the fact that they had to twist it and turn it just to make it so, well, actually, we didn't do that. We didn't make it a dream or erase everything with a cosmic cube. Well, you know what? You said this was Captain America, and you said it was him all along, and then now you're saying that Captain America was caught in the cosmic cube, and you're retconning that. It is amazing the kind of acrobatics they're doing in order to cover for this. Anyway, I've read some bad books, you know that, and I've read some sad stories, but this is the saddest of all because in the end, this is a story waiting for a writer that has anything more to say about it than the politics behind it. Seriously, this is a political agenda waiting for a good story to happen, and unfortunately it doesn't. So the book begins with basically the superhero standing around going, is that Steve? Yes, it's Steve. And then what happens is Steve Rogers goes into something that apparently Nick Spencer loves to do but is horrible with, and that is speeches. Well, at least we're all finally here. I want you to know I understand what you're trying to do, even though whatever anger or frustration I might be feeling, I know that all of you are just trying to do what you think is right, but you're wrong. Get it? Wrong. And you should take a look at the damage you've done, the lives that have been lost, and all for nothing. You see, you're too late. The time for fighting is done. Now it's time to rebuild. It is amazing how much space Donald Trump takes up in Nick Spencer's head. I can only imagine that Dan Slott is the only person who thinks about Trump more than Nick Spencer. I think Nick Spencer thinks about Trump more than Trump does. Hydra is going to use the cosmic cube to restore the world, to forge it into something better, something stronger, free of all the weakness and corruption you infected it with. We can make something truly glorious. And we can do it together if you'll just... Gonna stop you right there, bub. I feel safe in saying that you're not going to be getting too many takers in this crowd. Logan's right. You say the time for fighting is up, but it feels right on time to me. Just need to hear the words, I guess. Yeah, I'm on it. This is for Nat, you son of a... Avengers, assemble. And we're going to talk about this page for hours. Actually, days. Call into work. We need to look at this. Okay, now, Captain America is in front of them. Honestly. They are staring down one villain, and that is Captain America. So, let's see. Hawkeye is the only one focused here. Honestly, who is Wolverine looking at? Who is Black Panther looking at? Or Jean Grey is kind of aiming, like she's looking around Luke Cage, looking at him, I guess. Kamala Khan is going a completely different direction. Rocket only has one gun pointed towards where Captain America might be. It does look like Carol Danvers is trying to fly away from the Hulk. At this point, you got to wonder, where is everybody jumping from? Storm is just flying away. So is Spider-Man. Spider-Man once again in Secret Empire is saying, I'm out of here, guys, and is thwipping to the Capitol building? What is he attaching his web to, considering where Captain America was standing in the first place? Honestly, and where is Thor coming from? Even if you think he's jumping down, that means there was something high enough to get him in that particular position. This is the dumbest page, and do you know what it's for? This kind of page is a resell. The artist draws it, and then when he goes to conventions, he could put it out there and resell it because it's a dynamic pose cover. And it is the dumbest freaking... I don't know if it's the dumbest page yet, because this is... But just, oh my God, was there an editor? Heather Antos, she must have edited this. She went to the damn milkshake shop again. I don't think there was. I cannot believe that this page got through. Actually, aside from the Heather Antos joke, in reality, she did not. No, she was not the editor on this. The assistant editor was Alana Smith. The editor was Tom Brevoort. Both of them should have known better. And once again, let's look at something else. Hawkeye, you've got one job. You shoot a bow and arrow. You don't have an arrow drawn, and you're just pointing. And so that means you're standing in everybody else's way. Not that they're heading towards Captain America, but still, be a little professional. As much as that last page ticks me off, this one does too. Look at this. Okay, let's forget about the dialogue. I'm not even going to go over the words because this is really Nick Spencer trying to be deep, and he just can't be. Okay, what do we have here, guys? We have Rocket heading towards Captain America, guns drawn. Is he going to hit him in the head with them? They have a point. You have a person who can stretch who's running towards you. You have Captain Marvel and Storm who are energy blasts. You have Spider-Man who's got his webs. The only people who should be running... Jean Grey's a freaking telekinetic. Okay, at least Hawkeye's drawn his bow, but he still decides that in order to shoot Captain America with a bow, he needs to run towards him. So basically, all you're getting is a whole bunch of people that are going to get in each other's way. I mean, Hulk is going to literally run right over Wolverine in this photo. Is Spider-Man standing on Luke Cage's head? What's going on here? Why was this even considered? Wow, that's so good. We should have that on the page. I mean, honestly, what is happening here? How can this get through? You know what? No, it's not just mad. It makes me sad, really. And all of the hands decide they need to touch the area with the cosmic cube. We want good writing, good art, and we're called racist and sexist for it. And yet they make it so all of the heroes of the Marvel universe, their entire plan is get 'em, or hey, you know, I've got an idea.
Get her. That was your whole plan. Get her. It was scientific. I just got overexcited.
His heart beat with the power of a god now. Reality itself bent to his fury. He overwhelmed us with just a thought. He wiped even the memory of us away like the sand and tide. And with his 3 shards of the cosmic cube, he rewrites history. Now, here's the big question, kids. Why didn't he just do this from the beginning? Why did he have to go out and confront anybody to do this? He could be sitting in his office right now. This entire staging thing was pointless. And then we get to watch the physical representation of the history that he's changed. Now, at this point, everybody who has survived, everybody who has lived in this world where Hydra has ruled. And usually I will switch the page to talk about what happens next. But what happens next is we see Sam standing there with his cosmic cube, and this is supposed to be the big face-off. But what I'm wondering is, how did Sam know to use the cosmic cube to block what was about to happen with the world changing? How did he know that was what was going to happen at that time? And also, how is one shred of the cosmic cube more powerful than the other 3 in order to prevent what's happening? Someone should have also advised Nick that reminding us that Marvel used to be better and write better crossovers is not a good idea. Now, usually I think that everybody's got a right to their opinions. You like things I don't like, I like things that you don't like. That's simple. However, if you are in a position where you're thinking Secret Empire is as good or better than Infinity Gauntlet, you are objectively wrong. So instead of fighting Captain America, Sam Wilson kneels to him and surrenders. And for some reason, Steve Rogers forgets that he's the most brilliant tactician on the face of the planet and set up Secret Empire to begin with, and doesn't question why Sam Wilson is just bending the knee. He should automatically know something's wrong. Start scanning the area, scanning Sam himself, scanning the cube, make sure that everything is good. And so he puts the last shard of Cosmic Cube into it, powers up, and then the power disappears. Now, if this was all Kobik, if being together now, she can do whatever she wants, and she takes the cube away and goes away, that would be one thing. But that's not exactly how it happens. Because little Nicky loves to have contrivances. He has Ant-Man and the Winter Soldier come out of the cube. And then we get their brilliant plan. And here's where it falls apart. We see that Ant-Man and Winter Soldier are far away from Captain America and Sam Wilson. That means they were far away from Sam Wilson, who was holding the Cosmic Cube at the time. Now, you could say, okay, maybe Sam Wilson was thinking about them, but Ant-Man and Winter Soldier were separated from the cube and Sam Wilson when the world changed. Their memories would be all about Hydra was in power. That's all they would be thinking about. They would probably be somewhere else, not even a part of all of this. And it would still beg the question, how powerful is one part of the cube versus the other three? And then in a flashback within a flashback, we get to see how they came up with this brilliant plan. And it's basically exactly that. Hey, we got to give him the cube so I can then go in and drag Kobik out. And because she's got to have the memory of the real Steve Rogers. And then we get a segment that I've got to be honest with you. I wish this was in the hands of a better writer. These scenes right here should have been their own miniseries, or at least part of that anthology book. Not little bits and pieces where you're seeing what's going on. Where are they in hell? Are they not? Because it really plays, when you read this with the other chapters, it plays like Spencer had no idea what to do with it and then decided, oh, hey, I know. Why don't we do this? And by that time, it's far too late. Steve Rogers and Kobik could have been a father-daughter team inside of this particular world, inside the cube, inside of her, and we could have gotten a story about. Now, you got to remember, she was made to believe that this version of Rogers was bad. So more time spent with the two of them and learning that he was actually the good part, learning that he could make the world better instead of Hydra, that would have been a better story. And it would have been a build-up, and it would have been earned when these scenes happen. Spencer seems to be very much, it's like he has a panel in his head, and he writes a story around it. But he refuses to actually have the character's journey lead to it. You don't need it. Oh, well, we got to get the Cosmic Cube. Oh, well, we'll make them seem like they can't get the Cosmic Cube. Then we'll have someone barf it up. That'll be good enough. That way, hey, look, we've got it. It's a surprise. And it's the same with this. Kobik herself should be pulling him out, not Winter Soldier. What the hell does Winter Soldier had to do with this entire story? Nothing. He showed up at the end of the Brave New World series and then just appeared. Hey, look who I got. It's Winter Soldier. So what? I'm Captain America. I kick his ass all the time. You know, it's no big deal. But had they built up the characters of Kobik and Steve inside the Cosmic Cube and had her realize, then this scene where she pops out and they're saying, hey, it wasn't me, it was Kobik, would have been a lot better. Now, let's talk about this scene where Kobik pops out and she's like, ha, I will change everything for you except for you. She changes the whole world. She changes the past back. Everything is good. Except for the one thing she doesn't change is Steve Rogers. What the hell's that all about? Now, I know it's so we can have this scene right here where Captain America forms, but you have literally got Steve Rogers there. She can put Steve Rogers back, but she doesn't. I mean, she took him apart. And you know, God dang it, Nick Spencer, you are a freaking bad writer. And I understand why they're doing this. They want the Christopher Reeve Superman 3 fight in the junkyard. That's what he's going for here. It's just horribly done, because as soon as you see her replace the world, she could have easily have replaced Nazi Cap. He could have just been, ha, I'm back. But there's no heroic moment for Captain America in that particular time. That is why the whole thing with the Cosmic Cube doesn't make sense in this story. That they use it to restore things doesn't make sense, because you would have to have Steve himself, his ideals, be strong enough to fight what the Cosmic Cube did to him. To have the real Steve Rogers burst through. Not to have, well, I'll change this, but I won't change you. I'll make this so he can fight you physically. This could have been an internal struggle. I mean, yeah, you could still have Captain America versus Hydra Cap inside the Cosmic Cube, kind of, as they struggle, what's right versus what's wrong. And it would have been so much better, because it would have been a fight of ideals. But no, that's not here, because what it ends up being is just exactly what it is. And now you have a world that's changed. They're watching it on a computer, which would mean, okay, so why are we watching this? Why are we watching this on a computer? What's going on? I don't know. The whole world's changed. Oh, but wait, no. Because we find out later, we find out in the scenes, I'm sorry I'm talking over this fight and I'm not reading it, but this is where the story truly falls apart. Once you have Kobik change the world, but she doesn't change the history, it doesn't make sense. People are watching on TV, they should be wondering what's going on, but they're not, because she didn't change the history. She didn't say Steve was never Hydra Cap. She just brought another Cap in there. She fixed the world, and then, except for that particular part. She doesn't bring back Natalie. She doesn't change the spot where she changed Steve Rogers. She has the power to, but no, doesn't happen. And I'm sorry, like I said, usually I'm reading the book bit by bit, but as soon as that happened, it's destroyed. It's gone. There's nothing worth it. It's like the barf moment in Captain America 25, where after that very moment, it does not matter what's coming. It doesn't matter. Why is Thor's hammer still like this? See, she doesn't do what she did to screw things up. She doesn't fix it. She just says, okay, well, here's where we are now, so let's go. And that's so Nick Spencer can have all of these other scenes. So he can have real Captain America pick up the Thor's hammer and show that he is worthy. Now, credit to where credit is due. I do like the whole bit with the inscription on the hammer changing. The fact that Madam Hydra changed the inscription so Hydra Cap could lift the Thor's hammer. I didn't catch that. Sorry in the past, for nailing it, but this is pretty cool. I like the way they did this. And this does make for a good thumbnail, even though it does not make for a good narrative. And then the cringe begins, where he says, of course, never again, which we've heard him say before, by the way. And they tell him, yeah, we know you, it wasn't you, blah, blah, yada, yada. Apparently it was until they decided it wasn't. I mean, he's the one that's created out of cosmic cube dust. Anyway, so he hands the shield to Sam. I told him that this didn't belong to him, but it doesn't belong to me either. Yes, it did, and you earned it. And then he gives the hammer to Lady Jane and not to Thor. And we go from cringe to sheer stupidity. I'm sorry I got it wrong. I know what to do now. Thank you. Kobik restored the history that had been corrupted and taken from us, but she left the scars and the wreckage, a reminder of our promise. Never again. What never again? She did it. Seriously. Now, I know Nikki Spencer is supposed to be like, oh, it's up because y'all love Trump. This happened. And this is not me making things up. If you read his Twitter feed, if you read what he says, this is what that was all about. This is the kind of destruction you get if you don't agree with him. This isn't about politics. It stopped being about politics when you made it about somebody with the power of the cosmic cube. Now, if you're going on, like I said, if you did the way I was talking about, where Captain America with ideals came through, instead of having Kobik remake the world, then we can talk about ideals. We can talk about scars and a reminder of our promise never again. But this ended up being because one little girl threw a tantrum and changed the history and the world. So the only scars and wreckage we're seeing is the fact that you cannot trust Kobik. That is the lesson of this book. Don't trust Kobik. It continues, and for some of us, the ones who stood for what was to come, our future, she gave a gift, journey of discovery through the vanishing point. And of course, this is to explain why all of the characters are going into generations. But apparently it just lasts a little bit. And when we returned, we were restored, reborn. In the days to come, there would be more tests, more battles. But in this moment, we were everything we had lost. We were once again Earth's mightiest heroes. And you know what? This is a selfie right here. And it might go with the selfie culture. It's the same thing as the other panel. They're basically trying to sell a poster at conventions. That's all this is. I mean, where is Nova coming from? And where was he before? The only people who did anything that are in this picture are Sam Wilson and the Ant-Man. Nobody else was involved in any of this at all. This book is a tumor. This book is a tumor at all. And then, of course, we see the real victims of Kobik's tantrum, the regular people, the Inhumans, the people who were interned, the fact that some people lost their houses. And we're following this one guy who's interned, and it's good. It's good to see, them getting out, the families back together. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but we're supposed to feel like there's hope. We're supposed to feel like this. There's this sense of happiness. And remember, this is all according to Nick Spencer's pen, basically, because there's nothing natural that has come from this. And we're supposed to feel, oh, yay, they're getting back together. 600,000 people died in this storyline that weren't restored because, oh, well, we wanted to keep the scars instead of just fixing it from the point she broke it. And that's just one more thing that I'm sorry, it's not a well-written story, gang. I keep saying it, but it just keeps hitting me in the head. This was a political agenda that was in search of a story, and they thought, hey, I know, let's take over, but then they dropped it. Oh, okay, my message is said, so I'm going to go away. I like right here, these people say, he wakes up, the guy who's interned, he wakes up to find, to hammering noises and all that, and he goes outside. Now, what gets me is he doesn't immediately run outside of his house wondering what's going on, especially in light of what just happened. You would think you'd be a little bit more paranoid. Like if I heard that after being interned, I would be worried about my family so much it wouldn't matter. I'd be naked. But what we find out is that the neighbors decided to start working on his house. And hey, good on the neighbors, but you would think they would wake him up, tell him, hey, this is what we're about to do. I don't know. Secret Empire 10 is just another ill-conceived book. They should have just given Nick Spencer a one-shot. This is what Nick Spencer thinks, and let him go off on it instead of wasting people's time. Because this was what we had we had Zero issue. You had to read 25 to get the story. The Captain America 17. So, and we got Omega. So overall, it's like, 13, 14 books worth of story? Not to mention the setup from Captain America #1. It was a huge waste of time. Just so he can say, get his politics across. I don't know. I could be wrong. I have been before a couple of times. But what do you think? Did you like number 10? Did you like Secret Empire? Let me know. Don't just say, oh, you suck for not liking this. Let me hear it. But then again, if you're like that, you probably didn't make it this far into the video. But if you did, let me know in the comments below what you thought. Also, don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And head over to Patreon and VidMe and follow us there because occasionally we're going to have videos there whenever they get censored by YouTube here. Don't forget to drop $1 in the till for patron-only content. All right, we'd like to thank everybody who has done that, everybody who will do that, and to everyone, thank you very, very much for watching. And yes, these are the culprits responsible for this crap.